good evening. Welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live from a news about the Subway Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. We're streaming live on Facebook at 3FM 927. Also on YouTube at 3FM 927. Join us and connect with us. Read out your thoughts, views, comments, and opinions to the rest of the world. This evening, here on Hot Edition, Ghana Armed Forces commences a peace enforcement operation in Bawku as part of efforts to stabilize and contain renewed tensions. This evening, we engage our reporter on the ground, plus some security experts to understand how the next few days ahead will be. Also, the new Patriotic Party officially opens nomination for the upcoming flagbearer race, pegging nomination and filing fees at 600,000 cedis. Meanwhile, the Kwabena Agyapong, one of the presidential hopefuls, is formally launching his bid to lead the opposition new Patriotic Party. Stay with us. We've got details for you here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. The minority in Parliament have been addressing the press on their own mid-year budget review position. Stay with us. We've got details for you and some reactions to it here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Also in court earlier today, the court has rejected adjournment request by the third accused lawyer in the Eduboahin case. I'm talking about the former National Signals Bureau boss trial and matters arising. All these plus the latest in business and sports over the next 1 hour here on Hot Edition. I am Alfred, Ocansey, for a summary of the news now.
In tonight's summary, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has released a list of 907 small-scale mining licenses at risk of revocation. The potential revocations follow a review of existing licenses as part of efforts to sanitize the mining industry in Ghana. According to a report submitted to the Sector Minister, Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, on Monday, July 21, 2025, a total of 1,278 licenses were reviewed, of which 316 were cleared of any outstanding issues. However, the remaining 962 licenses were found to have various irregularities, with 55 already revoked. The irregularities included documentation gaps, procedural anomalies, and data quality issues. The minority in Parliament has accused the incumbent government of taking credits for debt restructuring achievements initiated under the Akufo-Addo administration. In a press statement issued on Tuesday, July 29, the group described the finance minister's remarks on public debt as misleading. According to the minister, Ghana's public debt to GDP ratio had declined from 61.8% in December 2024 to 43.8% in June 2025, which he attributed to prudent economic management. But the minority questioned how much of the actual debt had been repaid to warrant such a claim. Now, the High Court in Accra has dismissed a request for adjournment filed by the newly appointed counsel for Mildred Donko, the third accused in the ongoing National Signals Bureau case involving the alleged theft of 49 million Ghana Cedis in state funds. Presiding Judge Justice John Nadu ruled that the third accused had been granted ample time to secure legal representation and should have adequately briefed her new lawyer before the scheduled hearing. The court consequently ordered that the motion set for the day be moved. And finally, 2 individuals tragically lost their lives when an articulated truck transporting cement pipes was involved in a serious accident on the road between Fomena and Adansi Asokwa in the Ashanti region. The incident occurred sometime between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. today, Tuesday, July 29, 2025. The fatal crash has reignited urgent calls from residents for immediate intervention to address the area's alarming history of road accidents. The articulated truck with registration number GT 550123 was reportedly en route from Takoradi, a major port city in the western region, to the Kumasi area, carrying a consignment of heavy cement pipes. Alfred.
Thank you. And we're going to get some more on this matter as we get into the matters here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and on W93.5 in One and beyond. Now, the Ghana Armed Forces has commenced peace enforcement operations in Bawku in the Upper East region as part of efforts to stabilize the area and contain renewed tensions over the last few days. Now, the operations led by the Chief of Army Staff Major General Lawrence Kweku Betanu began with intensified patrols across the town to enforce compliance of the revised curfew and to prevent further escalation of violence. Now, troops moved throughout Bawku earlier today, maintaining a visible presence. Our Paris regional correspondent Castro Senyala is going to be joining us shortly, who has been every step of the way with the military on ground to give us details of the developments as we speak right now. But before we get into our correspondent to tell us what's happening on the ground, Adib Sane is a security analyst with Jatika Center for Human Security. They've been doing some work in the Bawku enclave. He's joining us right now. Adib, thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition now. What is happening, the latest round of these disturbances that we've seen over the last few days has led to the death of students and some of the residents in the Bawku enclave. Now there's been that decision to impose a curfew. There's been a deployment of the military to enforce what has been described as the peace enforcement operations. How does all of this strike you?
Well, this administration obviously wants to do something different because the approach we've been very much accustomed to is not yielding any results. And I must say, when we are getting nearer to achieving peace, we are bound to have some elements who are opposed to it, causing more havoc to derail the efforts that's been made to deal with the situation. So that is why government has decided to enforce the peace rather than engage in peacekeeping, which usually is a more diplomatic approach to dealing with the issue. Consent is required, cooperation is required from all sides. So basically, you plead for the peace. But on this occasion, we are enforcing it. We are imposing the peace, not pleading for the peace. High-handed, to some extent, approach would be applied. You don't need anybody's consent. You might be forced to take very drastic measures to ensure the belligerence ends. However, that is not the solution to what is going on, but it's a giant step, I must say, in the right direction. So whilst we get the guns to stop, then we can take advantage to explore other means. The elephant in the room, which Otumfor is handling, and I'm praying that it is expedited so we get the report and hopefully government would look at it and implement. Then we also need to look at the issues of human insecurities, lack of jobs, especially amongst young people, access to medical services, food, water, sanitation services, and the rest. And hopefully we would be able to, in a more sustainable fashion, be dealing with this issue once and for all.
But you talk about the shift in the focus and then also the strategy to deal with the Bawku situation. What's the difference between the peacekeeping and peace enforcement? Just for the benefit of our listeners.
All right. So like I indicated at the beginning of my submission, peacekeeping involves a more diplomatic approach to dealing with the situation. It involves seeking the consent of parties. It involves collaborations. It involves using talk to, as it were, get the parties to relax their stance and not fire the weapons, especially in the night. But with peace enforcement, it is a more stronger approach to dealing with the issue. You don't need anybody's consent. You'll be forced to take very drastic measures, such as the imposition of curfew starting from 2 p.m. By so doing, you are imposing the peace. You are not pleading for the peace. And that is exactly the approach that is being used at this point. At the same time, we will be exploring other approaches to dealing with the impasse.
Okay, so there's this bit about, the approach that is being taken now and how that also addresses the evolving nature of the Bawku situation. I want to find out from you whether this approach would address the evolution of the conflict in Bawku.
No, I don't think it's going to address the conflict in its entirety, but it's one giant step towards other approaches that has to be put together to address the Bawku issue. We have immediate approaches. We have short to medium to long-term approaches. This is the immediate one that seeks to stop the belligerence, the senseless killings. Then the Otunfo is also working on his. Then we also need to address other issues such as the proliferation of small arms and light weapons, the issues of criminal elements taking advantage of the restive nature of the place to engage in other forms of criminality. But because we are so accustomed to tribal or ethnic violence, whatever a criminal somewhere does, we think it is related to the conflict. So what in essence this means is we have to work towards enhancing law and order. Law enforcement is extremely key so that we are able to deliberately, consciously, even though slow pace, build confidence in state institutions' capacity and capability to ensure justice for the people. Because if the people feel the state cannot do enough for them, then they resort to their own way of doing things. And that is what is culminating into the never-ending cycle of violence and counter-violence and retribution that we report almost on daily basis. So I must say, what the government is doing is great. It's good step in the right direction, but it is important for all of us to recognize that government cannot do it alone. We all have unique responsibilities. The media especially, since conflict-sensitive reporting is extremely key. So instead of reporting that ethnic group A has attacked ethnic group B, rather let us avoid bringing the ethnicity angle to it, because when you do that, you will make ethnic group B retaliate. Okay? Civil society, we are also doing our bits on the ground, even development partners. Okay? So this should be sort of an all-hands-on-deck approach.
Appreciate you for this. Thank you so much. Adib Sani is a security analyst. Let's stay a bit further on this. Go on the ground right now. And Castro Senyala is our man on the ground in the Bawku enclave. He's moving with the military detachment in the area. Castro, appreciate you connecting with us. What has been the situation since the military arrived earlier today?
Yes, Alfred, I can report that the military is on the ground in a large number. We are counting about almost 400 new soldiers coming in to augment the numbers that are already there in Bawku and other parts of its environs. This morning, the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Lawrence Peku Betano arrived early in the morning with other top officials of the Ghana Armed Forces, and they first of all had a briefing, and a closed-door briefing for him to understand the situation in the past few weeks and months, and also after that he went straight to Bawku, where we have been, and as we speak now, we are in Binduri in the Bazwa camp, where he has just taken off and returning back to from what I understand, Tamale. But then there are the rest of the men here with other leaders here still on the ground to ensure that whatever operations they have to conduct will be carried out. Now, Alfred, I run into quickly what happened today. So when they got to Bawku, they took very rigorous patrols of all the streets and corners within Bawku itself. The military itself describes it as show of force. First, it is to help, and get the people to, comply with the reviewed curfew that has currently been placed on the area, and secondly, to roll out what they have termed as peace enforcement. Like the military has, the government has stated in its statement that they're moving from, peace building or peace, all other things are around protecting the peace than to enforcing the peace, because they have realized that all other measures in the past have not been really helpful as far as dealing with the conflict for once and for all is concerned. And so they did all that exercise. And later on, they converged back at the Bazwa camp, where they got a little more briefing from the men who have been on the ground for the past 3 months, and for them to understand the situation. So as we speak now, there are a lot more men in Bawku patrolling. I've counted almost going to about 50 trucks in Bawku, streets of Bawku alone, as we went through. They didn't stop at any point to do anything whatsoever. They continuously just moved their vehicles in a long convoy through the streets of Bawku for nearly 2 hours to indicate their presence and to let the people see that they are visibly on the ground and ready to take action to ensure that peace is restored.
You talked about the on-ground presence. How are the people in Bawku, you've been talking to the residents there, how they've been reacting amidst those who are also fleeing the area because of the renewed clashes?
Alfred, I would have really loved to engage with people in the town, because the military has been very supportive of my work and ensuring that I'm able to work peacefully and in a very conducive atmosphere. But the issue is that if you remember, the curfew has been reviewed, and so by 2 o'clock in the morning, in the afternoon, everyone is supposed to be indoors. Unfortunately, before the military could do its rounds in the outskirts of Bawku, before entering Bawku, it was already 2. So by the time we got in there, where the curfew has been placed, the town itself where the curfew has been placed, people were already indoors, and now will you see one out there on the streets walking. Every shop, the streets were clean, no person or nobody walking on them. Shops were closed. From the indications we got from the movements we've made throughout the whole town, it painted a picture that the people were all indoors, observing the curfew, the reviewed curfew hours.
Now, where next for the military? Because I know you are with them as we speak. Where are they going next, especially during this period? The curfew is in force, no?
Yes, the curfew is in force now. And before the Major General left, Major General Betalu took off with his helicopter. He engaged with the troops here, where he's been encouraging them to continue to commit themselves to the peace enforcement process. He's been letting them understand that the government and the military hierarchy, the military high command on its part, will continue to provide all the logistics needed to ensure that they are able to carry out their operations effectively and to ensure that peace is restored. Alfred, let me also chip in this quickly. For the first time, and not the first time as such, but this time, as far as the peace enforcement is concerned, 2 jet fighters have continuously cycled the Bawku township over the last 3 hours. They fly in, come back, they just sweep across the whole town, and they fly so low that you hear the sound of them, 2 of them, flying together in a show of force to let everyone at all understand that they are really here for business and they will be here for a long time.
I do appreciate you for this. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. That's Castro Senyala. He is a man on the ground and talking to us, giving us an idea of what's happening in the Bawku enclave right now here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. We're keeping an eye on how things are playing out in the Bawku area because of the renewed clashes as we speak over there. Now, if you go on our Facebook page at 3FM 927, you'll see the videos of the military detachment that arrived in the Upper East region. 400 troops are preparing for the Bawku Peace Enforcement Mission. And the Army Chief, Major General Betanu, also had this to say earlier.
The need for us to sanitize the place. For this time around, we all know that the peacekeeping duties that we were performing over there have been reviewed to peace enforcement. And the curfew also reviewed starting at 1400 hours to the following morning 0600 hours. That gives the military the leverage to actually undertake some specific operations over there to sanitize the area. But before then, the Ghana Army, and for that matter, the Ghana Armed Forces, started some preparation for a training exercise that was supposed to be held in this area. So just before the weekend, actually, troops started moving to the exercise area, and then the mobilization started. And it was around this same weekend that the situation developed in the Bawku general area. So as a professional Ghana Army and then the Ghana Armed Forces, with troops mobilized for training exercise, we just reviewed that training exercise to get the troops redeployed for this real operation to deal with the situation that has emerged at the Bawku general area regarding the killings that we experienced over the weekend. This time around, we have marshaled enough of our forces from Southern Command, Central Command to join their colleagues in Northern Command, and we have enough formidable force to undertake whatever operations we have in Bawku, and any other area that we assess will need some intervention. Thank you very much.
So that's the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Lawrence Kweku Betanu, who's begun the intensified patrols across the town, that's Bawku, to enforce the compliance of the revised curfew and to prevent further escalation of violence. The curfew hours have kicked in as we speak. If you go on our Facebook page at 3FM927, we're showing you videos of the military when they arrived earlier in the Upper East region under the leadership of the Chief of the Army Staff, Major General Lawrence Kweku Betanu. So the details as we have it, troops have moved throughout Bawku earlier today, maintaining a visible presence over there. You heard our correspondent give details of exactly what they're going to be doing during this curfew period, ensuring that the curfew period is enforced effectively. So that's the information as we have it now. If you go on our Facebook page at 3FM927, we're showing you videos of the military detachment. I understand 400 troops preparing for Bawku peace enforcement in the area, and these are the videos as we got from our man on the ground, Castro Senyala, who is moving with the military detachment in Bawku as we speak. So stay with us here on 3FM 92.7. We'll give you more updates on the situation in Bawku, while government also thinks about the measures put in place to maintain and to restore order and peace in the area, as the Otunfo-led mediation talks is also ongoing to bring lasting peace in the Bawku enclave. So that's what we're showing you right now at 3FM 927. These are live videos of the military detachment in the area to enforce operations to bring peace in Bawku in the Upper East region.
Alfred, you may recall that this year's West Africa Senior Secondary Examination, WASI, is commencing next week, August 4, nationwide. However, it remains unclear if students in troubled communities around Bawku will participate in the examinations. This is because the GS this week closed down the Bawku Senior High School and the Nalirugu SHS following the killing of 3 students over the weekend. The attacks are believed to be linked to the protracted Bawku chieftaincy conflict. Alfred.
Let's stay a bit further on this, and the head of corporate affairs at the West African Examination Council, John Kapi, is joining us right now on the telephone. And Mr. Kapi, appreciate you. Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Now, what's the updates that you have on the students that's in the senior high schools in the Bawku enclave, and whether or not they will sit for the WASI this year?
So I was in a conversation with the branch controller, our officer in charge of the region, a few minutes ago, and he indicates that the candidates were asked to go home and then come back and write the examination. So as we speak, they have been given a short break, but certainly they'll be back, and then they should be ready for the examination. On our part, we are not policy makers per se, but that would depend on whatever the Ghana Education Service or the ministry, for that matter, indicates, and then we will go by it. We'll see how we can adjust the situation to, accommodate every single candidate who has registered for the exam.
See, but then again, I'm sure you're monitoring the security situation there as well. Is there any thinking into some other measures to be put in place for the worst case scenario?
Well, yes, as we speak, usually when these issues occur, the ministry organizes and then moves these candidates to a safer place where they would be in a position to write examination without looking over their shoulder, as it were. So I believe that as we go forward, if there's any situation that calls for any emergency situation, the ministry or the Ghana Education Service will communicate with us. Now, the situation is this. For the BEC, we used Zebula as a point of contact where the questions were kept in Zebula, and then they came to pick them up from Zebula to Bawku to write, and they returned the scripts to us in Zebula. So it's a similar thing that we wanted to replicate for the WAS. But if the candidates are not safe in there, then the GES would have to tell us where they think it will be safe for the candidates to be in order that the examination will be written, and then we would adjust our system such that we'll be able to accommodate them as well.
I see. But then also we got information that some 3 students who were killed over the weekend, and I'm sure you're aware of this, in the Nalerugu Senior High School and the Bawku Senior High School as well. Is there any engagement with the heads of the senior high schools to give you periodic briefings on the volatility of the situation that's where they are located, and some recommendations of what has to be put in place for the safety of the students?
Well, the heads of school are not directly responsible to us. They don't answer to us per se, except when it comes to examinations. I'm tempted to believe that the Ghana Education Service is in touch with them, and once the Director General is the chairman of our board as well, probably once they communicate with him, he will be in a position to tell us exactly, what the situation is on the ground. But speaking with my colleague in Bolga this evening, the impression I gather is that they are still on course working as usual, without any, hitches because of security in the area. They are not too comfortable moving them to anywhere close by, because then they are more of prey, or they are in the line of fire, if you want, because everybody then knows that, look, they are in this enclave and we can easily move in there, except, of course, the security around them. So I believe that the headmasters are in touch with the Director General, Ghana Education Service, and of course the Minister of Education. And if there's anything that they want to do, they'll quickly communicate with us, and then we would accommodate any changes that will be made in order that every candidate is able to write the exam.
And I truly appreciate your updates on this one. We'll certainly touch base again in the coming days for some more on this. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
John Kapi is head of corporate affairs for the West African Examination Council. WAEC, let's go straight to Parliament. There's the development with the 4 deputy ministers who were vetted last week, and that's we cross over right now. Christian Yale is our parliamentary affairs correspondent. Christian, what's the update on the approval of these 4 deputy ministers nominees who were vetted last week?
Yeah, all right, Alfred. So just a few minutes ago, Parliament, by consensus, has approved all the 4 of them, which means that from here, the report would get to the president, and then the president would follow suit to swear them into office. All 4 deputy ministerial nominees. That is actually the very last batch of the ministerial nominees have all been approved. Alfred, let me just quickly give you an idea of what the appointment committee indicated in their report to the House. The appointment committee is chaired by the First Deputy Speaker, Bernard Agyapong. He actually moved the motion for the adoption, which means for the approval of these 4 nominees. And according to their report, they indicated that they went ahead to, after the vetting, they went ahead to evaluate the nominees' qualifications as well as their professional experiences and even the responses that they provided when they faced the committee last Friday during their vetting. And the committee finds that each of the nominees demonstrated competence, insight, and readiness to assume their respective roles. And so based on these assertions or these indicators, they went ahead to propose to the House to approve or recommend to the House to approve all the 4 of them by consensus. Actually, let me just quickly run you through these 4 deputy ministerial nominees who have just been approved by the House, and they include Dr. Afotofe, who is the deputy minister nominee for transport, and then you have James Jachikwesin, Deputy Minister, nominee for Foreign Affairs. And his vetting indeed was one interesting one to watch, especially when you consider all the issues surrounding his dual citizenship brouhaha, which, more or less stalled his swearing in as a member of parliament, the legal litigation that comes around it and all of that. He made some strong assertions and proposals when he faced the committee about the need for the country to look at the dual citizenship bill and consider it as a matter of urgency to allow Ghanaians who are in the diaspora to contribute to the development of the country as a matter of course. So he is one of them, the second. And then the third person is Mohammed Adam Suparu, who is the Deputy Minister nominee for Communication, Digital Technology and Innovations. And then the last but not the least, Professor Grace Ayensu-Dankwa, the Deputy Minister nominee for Health. All of these four have passed through successfully, awaiting swearing in by the President. Alfred.
Comprehensive detail there. Christian Yale, thank you so much. He is a parliamentary affairs correspondent, but this is what happened in Parliament some few minutes ago.
Professor Grace Ayensu-Dankwa, MP, Deputy Minister Designate for the Ministry of Health. Honorable members, on behalf of the House, yes, Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the nominees, Honorable Dorcas Tofe, Honorable James Jechikwesi, Honorable Mohammed Adams Suparu, Honorable Professor Dr. Grace Ayensu-Dankwa, thank the committee for doing a very good, thorough work in vetting them and recommending to the House unanimously for approval. And I also thank the House on their behalf for unanimously approving them. Right Honorable Member, let me exclusively thank the minority leader, Togbi Osahi Alexander Kwabena Agyapong, and to say that at vetting, we should not be cross-examining, but we should be vetting the people. We should not be re-examining, but we should rather vet them. So once again, I thank everybody who is involved in the exercise on behalf of the nominee, as well as on behalf of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Honorable members, on behalf of the House, let me also extend our congratulations to our own colleagues. They have made us proud, and we wish them well. On that note, we thank you once again.
As the second Deputy Speaker, Andres Yama, the former Member of Parliament, presiding over the business of the House, you heard also Bernard Ahiafo, the first Deputy Speaker, as the Chair of Parliament's Appointments Committee, laying that report, subsequently leading to the approval, unanimous approval of these four nominees, Deputy Ministerial nominees, and they are waiting swearing in by His Excellency the President, John Dramani Mahama, some 24 minutes to top of the hour, 6 p.m. here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on Kesmi 107.1 and on W93.5 in Y and beyond. Let's go into politics now. There's a development in the new Patriotic Party flagbearer race.
Yes, they have officially opened nominations for its highly anticipated presidential primaries, setting the stage for what is expected to be a competitive race to select the party's candidate for the 2028 general elections. Aspiring flag bearers could face some financial hurdles, with nomination forms pegged at 100,000 Ghana Cedis and the final filing fee set at 500,000 Ghana Cedis. The announcement was made by the NPP General Secretary Justin Korea-Frimpong at a press briefing in Accra today, July 29, signaling the formal commencement of the internal contest. According to the announced guidelines, the NPP presidential primaries are slated to be held on Saturday, January 31, 2026. The nomination period commences today, July 29, 2025, and will close exactly 1 month later on Thursday, August 28, 2025. The combined cost of 600,000 Ghana Cedis for nomination and filing represents a substantial investment for any aspirant. This financial barrier is a common feature in Ghana's most political parties' internal elections, and it often generates debates about inclusivity and the role of money in politics. Alfred?
Well, let's say a bit further on this. And Professor Smart Sapong is a political analyst and a lecturer at the Ocansey Technical University. He's joining us on the telephone. Prof, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
Now, this filing fee of 600,000 cedis from what we're getting from the new Patriotic Party's release earlier today, aspiring flag bearers have some nomination forms pegged at 100,000, final filing fee set at 500,000 cedis, totaling 600,000 cedis. I mean, this figure, how does it strike you, first of all?
Yeah, so to every ordinary Ghanaian, the figure is going to be seen as quite expensive. 600,000 is no joke. 400,000 and you are at 1 million Ghana Cedis. So it's not a joke. But I want to believe that it was a product of several meetings, and I'm sure by now potential flag bearers are aware of what might have gone into the arrival at that very, very expensive fees. What I heard was that part of those filing fees and those things are going to be used in organizing the elections itself, the first general election itself. And that brings to the table the conversation of political party financing. I think the party must take its internal fundraising activities quite serious. Members of political parties must learn to pay their dues and be identified as correct members from those original political party financing sources. Parties are expected to generate income or revenue to manage party activities, including elections. But if filing fee and application fees are going to be the basis for organizing an essential party activity like elections, then it begs the question as to how are the membership drive, how do staying dues, political party finance, the orthodox means of political party financing, how are our political parties taking interest in those steps so that those monies will be used in organizing party activities and not to put all the weight on filing fees. For me, it's on the higher side.
It's on the higher side for you. This is a total of 600,000. I mean, but let me acknowledge Musa Fagbande is Deputy General Secretary of the ruling National Democratic Congress. Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me.
Now, first of all, I want us to take a listen to Kwabena Agyapong. He has declared his intentions to contest this flag bearership on the ticket of the new Patriotic Party. He's reacted to this filing fee and then also the nominations as well. 600,000 cedis in total. Take a listen.
Making those comments. So our party leaders, those who run the party now, will understand, some of us. In fact, if it hadn't been for my intervention in National Council, I can't even give you the figure that some were speculating.
So it means that they proposed higher than 500,000?
Much higher. And some of us had to stand up and be counted and let them know that this party is not for sale. That what message are we sending to the Ghanaian people? That once we do that, we will lose the trust of our supporters and Ghanaians. And even then, we had to agree that we will adjust it a bit, which is what we have done. I mean, the last time it was 50,000. So 100,000 is reasonable because we want serious-minded people to to go for the forms. I mean, it's a decent amount of money. So if you're not serious about your chances or what you want to do, you won't go and waste 100,000. And then when you go around and you're coming to file, I mean, you have to add another 500. There's a lot of money. We understand that. I mean, the last time it was 350,000. But there were some in our party, especially among the current executives, mentioning outrageous figures. I'm not going to out them here, but I stood up and really protested and suggested some of these things.
That's Kwabena Agyapong there. And Mr. Bande, you heard the earlier speaker of Professor Stapon talk about parties not relying on just the filing fees and the nomination forms cost to raise funds, because one of the reasons the party gave, that's the NPP gave for these amounts as has been announced today, was that part of it was going to be used to organize the entire flag bearership congress itself. So they needed money to do this. So what's your thinking in this particular development?
Well, good evening to our cherished listeners and my other colleagues who will be joining this conversation. For me, I think that, one, if we have to get to a position where political parties are very independent in terms of decisions that they take and in terms of running the structures of the party, then, of course, the party must be able to raise funds. And for them in the NPP, even though it's not our party, but I think that if Kwabena Agyapong has been one critic, he's been a national executive, he's been a general secretary of the party and understands the constraints of the party. The same people I've heard accuse the National Executive Committee of allowing individuals to run the party. It is basically out of who bankrolls the expenditure of the party. And so if the party has to increase filing fees to be able to raise money in order to undertake its expenditures, I think that to be a president is not a child's play. It's not a joke. You have to be prepared. You have to be ready. It's not really about monetization, but obviously money is involved. But again, this is the only way the party can squeeze out from appointees who have taken so much from government within the last 8 years and refuse to give to the party. This is the only avenue I think that the NPP as an executive committee believes that they can also take back from those appointees. So for us, I think that administratively it's in line with what practices that are not strange. I mean, if you want to be a president, you must be willing to advance some expenditures that reasonably can run the structures of the party, so that when you win the primaries, one is sure that your pedigree is enough to help people contribute money in ensuring that the party is able to campaign. That is what all political parties are looking at these days.
But then, if you talk about the political parties being independent, should we gravitate towards the point of, the political parties, as is expected by law, the Political Parties Act expect that political parties would even declare their sources of funding. You are not doing that. And the law is not applying to whip you in line.
I think that the trouble political parties have gone through is that party executives go and run campaigns, run around on empty stomachs, do the dirty work, get the party to win election. They bring in appointees who come and run down the whole system. The party goes to opposition, and party executives have to bear the brunt of the public as the leaders of a political party. And so it's time that if the parties begin now to take decisions that will ensure independence of expenditure and ensuring that internally they are able to generate funds, I think that the law doesn't forbid the party from pegging, contest fees. And so if you want to, and I repeat this point, that if you want to be a president, they say, to plate. If you cannot...
But does the preparation also include, financial preparation, in the sense that you have to cough up this money to let the people know that you have the money? The concern is about the monetization of the entire process, because if you're contesting the flag bearership to come and serve the people as a leader...
But everybody talks about monetization of party activities. Is it for free? Campaigning and having to send a party executive from Accra to go and work for a certain candidate or to supervise the activities of all of these candidates It's not a child's play. And so if you are given some minimum expenditures to pay as a person who have told everybody that you want to be a president, and then you are making us pay. If you can't pay, you don't contest. It's the party's rule. I don't think that on this score you would have to blame the National Executive Committee of the NPP for anything. I mean, our party will also look at measures to make sure that persons who in the future will contest elections have what it takes to be able to fund the activities of the party. You have talked about source of funding of the party. When candidates have the pedigree and credibility to raise funding to help resource the party, it then, takes the party away from taking money from all sorts of people that endangers, what the public concern or brings issues of what public concern is usually around. And so you have to pay. If you can't pay, he has been a general secretary. He knows the difficulties in running party administration, where he himself, most often, will criticize the National Executive Committee. Today, MPP is divided into 6 units. And the battle has always been who is controlling what. So if the party have decided to raise money in a way that reasonably and the minimum they can pay their bills, they are in opposition, these appointees are the ones that destroy the MPP. These same crop of appointees who wants to be ministers, presidents today, are the same group of people who have run this country down. And they have left the party machinery empty. Even though I believe that the MPP executive could have done well to save the image of their party, they were also used, they kept quiet and allowed these appointees to run down their party to this level. Now they are trying to revive themselves. If they need some money to run party activity, you pay. If you can't pay, simple, don't contest. Politics is not for free, and running internal party election is very difficult. It's not for free, and I think that you cannot fault the National Executive Committee at all.
So, Professor Sapon, that's another divergent view there. Politics not for free, it's expensive. So, brace yourselves if you want to lead a party in opposition. That's the argument of Mustafa Gbande, Deputy General Secretary of the ruling NDC.
Yes, and this argument can be raised by parties like the NDC and the MPP only, because I agree with him. With parties like them, NDC and MPP, if you are able to lead as a flag bearer, you have, well over 40% chance, close to 50% chance of becoming the president. These two. The argument cannot be extended to all political parties, and it is a theory that is long upheld in political science, that the accrued interest determines the value of the positions you are a contestant for. So I agree. People who want to put themselves up in MPP to lead and in NDC to lead, especially these two political parties, must be of a certain pedigree, because if you become flag bearer of the NPP, you enter into the probability of becoming a president. And if you become the flag bearer of the NDC, you enter into that same probability space. Your chances of becoming president of the republic is high, and therefore you must actually avail yourself to the value of it. It's not going to be easy. In fact, the conflict that we see, the disagreement and all those things, wouldn't have happened if not for the probability space that you enter once you become a flag bearer. So when you see the arguments being heated and it appears there's conflict in the political parties, especially these two, then it means that there's something at stake. There's a value at stake that needs to be contested for, and it includes your ability to support financially. Only that I still maintain. But, when you check the graduation, it used to be 50 to pick a form. Now it is 100. And it used to be 350 to submit a form. Now it is 500. They will tell you that the percentage increment is around 45 when you combine the two, not up to 50. So, they will tell you they didn't increase it much. But to you and I, to the people who will listen and hear that to pick a form and submit a form, you need to pay that huge amount of money, we will still maintain that it is high. Only that I agree that it is a demonstration of the value of the contest you wish to partake in, and the opportunity that comes should you lead, should you win. It comes with a lot of good opportunity, and you must avail yourself to all the encumbrances that comes with it, including financial commitments.
I do appreciate you for this. Thank you. Professor Smart Sapong is a political analyst, a senior lecturer at the Kumasi Technical University, joining us here on Hot Edition. There's a statement coming through from the presidency. President John Mahama has been speaking about the latest disturbances in Bawku. What is he saying?
Yeah, he's condemning the recent killings in Bawku and Nalirugu that claimed the lives of 3 students believed to be linked to the chieftaincy conflict. In a strongly worded condemnation, the president says the killings could have been done by persons whose efforts are aimed at derailing the peace mediation by the Asante Hene. That is almost seeing its conclusion. He has given backing to the armed forces to strictly enforce peace in the enclave. He made this known when the overlord of the Gonja traditional area, Yadbonwura by Kunutu Jewu Swale I, paid a courtesy call on him.
Your Majesty, there can be no progress without peace, and I wish to commend you for the peace that reigns in Gonjaland. It is my wish that other areas will learn from the peace that Gonja enjoys. So I take this occasion to appeal to our brothers and sisters, Kusasis and Mamprusis, to give peace a chance. We cannot accept the current situation where students are shot in school and killed. We can't accept the current situation where teachers, public officers have all run away from Bawku because they are afraid for their lives. And we have given the mediation efforts to Otunfo, and he has briefed me constantly on the progress that he's been making. And we are almost there. And so the current fighting and killings can only be done by people who want to derail the mediation effort. And so let's give peace a chance. But as the army has announced, I have directed the army to move from peacekeeping to peace enforcement. That means they're going to be a bit more robust with anybody who is involved in criminality. And so let us give peace a chance, not only in Bawku, but in Nkwanta and all the other places where we currently are suffering conflict.
That's the President, John Dramani Mahama there. You're still live here on Hot Edition. We're back with the latest in the world of business. Bismarck Awusa is standing by with the latest. Stay with us after this quick break.
Your finest tunes in sync with a soothing voice. 3 Lounge with AJ.
Are you tired of the same old routine? Need a break from the stress and chaos of everyday life? Well, step into the 3 Lounge, your world of absolute relaxation and great music with yours truly, AJ Akwako Sapon. Welcome to the best mid-morning show in the capital and beyond. This is 3 Lounge, yours truly, your radio princess, AJ Akwako Sapon.
Love it. I love it. It's great.
Kickstart your week with Monday motivation. Shake off the Tuesday blues and get ready for midweek mania. Take a trip down memory lane on Throwback Thursday and wrap up the week with Funky Friday with myself and Helen Appiah Ampufo. Plus, enjoy exciting celebrity interviews, insightful conversation, engaging discussions on topics that matter, and there's a boatload of fun and easy activations that reward and appreciate you, our loyal listener.
If you are listening, we're manifesting money into your pocket this morning.
Amen. Don't miss out on the excitement. Tune in to 3 Lounge every weekday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. with AJ Akwako Sapon, only on 3FM 92.7.
It's my number one.
92.7 3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Kausa. Coming up tonight, Ghana's 2025 economic growth outlook raised to 6.2% on mining sector boost. Standard Bank report projects higher GDP than government's 4% target amid weak cocoa performance. Thanks for the company. Now to the details. Ghana's economy is now projected to grow by 6.2% in 2025, significantly higher than the 4% target set by the government, according to the latest Standard Bank economy report. The revision is largely due to the mining sector's robust performance, with new gold mines expected to ramp up production despite continued weakness in the cocoa industry. The following 3 Business News Desk report has the details. Ghana's growth prospects for 2025 have been upgraded sharply from an earlier estimate of 3.8% to 6.2%, according to the newly released Standard Bank Economy 2025 report. This revised forecast far exceeds the 4% growth rate projected by the government in its 2025 budget. The boost in economic activity is expected to come largely from the extractive sector, particularly gold mining. The report highlights that although the cocoa subsector underperformed in 2024, mining exceeded expectations and is expected to maintain that momentum in 2025. 2 key projects are central to this optimism: the Cardinal Namdini gold mine, which was commissioned in the final quarter of 2024, and the upcoming Ahafo North mine, set to begin production by mid-2025. Together, the authorities anticipate that these mines will add as much as 600,000 ounces to Ghana's annual gold output. Standard Bank says this development could lift Ghana's GDP growth even higher than its current core scenario, adding fresh momentum to the country's post-pandemic recovery. And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on Ghana's 2025 economic growth outlook, raised to 6.2% in the latest Standard Bank report. And that ends the business news on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Kausa. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. Roku Ampofo is here for sports. Please stay.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We start off from the local scene where after touching down in Ghana on Monday, the Black Queens presented their bronze medal from the 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations to Parliament on Tuesday. The team finished third at the just ended WAFCON after beating South Africa 3-2 on penalties. Upon their medal presentations to Parliament, Member of Parliament for Minsha South, Honorable Bawku has urged for the increment of financial incentives for the team.
Calling on the minister. I am calling on the minister, Mr. Speaker, to advert his mind to the Affirmative Action Act. Mr. Speaker, by ensuring that these glorious Black Queens, Mr. Speaker, have parity in terms of their earnings. As much as what the Black Stars are earning, Mr. Speaker, we should also give them something closer.
That's right.
Mr. Speaker, the Affirmative Action Act, which was passed by this House, luckily for us, the minister is a member of this House. Mr. Speaker, we need to enforce it. The situation where the Black Stars will earn so much money, but the women earn very little, Mr. Speaker, is unfair and breaches the spirit and letter of the Affirmative Action Act. And so, Mr. Minister, very respectfully, the Blasters are given huge bonuses. Let's give our women huge bonuses for the group stage. Mr. Speaker, when the Blasters qualify from the group stage to the second round, they are paid huge bonuses. Mr. Speaker, in accordance with the Affirmative Action Act, let's give our women huge bonuses. Mr. Speaker, if the Blasters had won even bronze, wouldn't just be giving them speeches, celebratory speeches in this house, would have given them huge money. Mr. Speaker, let's ensure that the women are given huge money, consistent, and houses, so that their lots.
And so that was Honorable Bafo Ewa speaking in Parliament. He is the Member of Parliament for the Minshia South, bringing an end to the sports segment here on Hot Edition. You can get more reactions on the Black Queens from Parliament on our social media handles at 3SportsGH. The team is expected to later tonight meet the President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And so that's how we end today's edition of Hot Edition Live on 3FM 92.7. We're back again on your airwaves, same time tomorrow.